Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm back to do some work on my Botanical Beauties project with the prompt of pansy. And so I have done my stitching on my vintage seed packet design. Lots of lovely thread painting just with regular cotton, so it's a really fine form of thread painting, but I think it has worked beautifully, and I've had lots of fun layering extra threads in to really give a really dimensional poppy out effect to the pansies. And so this I'm planning to turn into an actual little pocket that is like a seed packet essentially. So I haven't done that yet, so that will probably be a further little episode to show you, but I want to make today some contents to go into the pocket because I thought these would make a lovely gift for someone for a birthday or a special occasion, to give them not just a beautifully decorated little fabric pocket but also a little gift inside. And so I'm planning to make a little brooch using this lovely pansy fabric, some felt, and again doing a bit of thread painting on the pansies themselves. So let's see if we can get it done in an hour. I'm setting myself a bit of a challenge. So I've got some of this fabric, which was just a little panel with all different designs. I've got some of this lovely sort of purpley, which coordinates nicely with this pansy, which will be the back piece. And I've cut out some felt just to be smaller than the circle because I want to basically not have the black outside, and I'll be folding the fabric over. But let's get going and I'll explain it along the way. I'll move this out of the way. So I'm going to use my trusty Yoo-hoo, which I just used to get things adhered down to hold them while I'm getting stitching. So I'm going to just line up this circle so that it is on the back like that. And then I'm going to cut around, leaving a little bit of a perimeter but not too much. And I'm going to put some little snips in because we're going to be folding this over the felt to get a nice little circular forming shape around the felt, and it will get rid of the raw edges and they'll be enclosed in the middle of the brooch. And equally you could make this, use this same technique, but rather than putting a clip on, you could put a little magnet in, and it could be a little French magnet, could be a little pendant, all sorts of possibilities. A little embellishment on like a closure for a journal or something. So again, I've just put some Yoo-hoo glue on, and I'm just going to work my way around, and don't worry if it doesn't totally hold, we will end up sort of be stitching over. But I just want to start, and I might even have to avail myself of my little clips if it's not going to stick that well. Could use my fabric glue, but I was trying to just not make it sort of solidly hard. I think once it starts to get put down, I think it will be right. It's sometimes easier to do it actually from the front, because then you can kind of see that you're getting it where you want it. Because I just want to get rid of that black border, as it were. Just give it a bit of a push down, and then I can take a look at how it's looking. You can just sort of see those few spots where you just need to curve it in a bit more. Just trying to get a nice rounded shape without any of those little pointy bits on it. I think that will be pretty good. Just need to get that bit to go down. So yeah, I think that will be lovely. I might just use another tiny bit of glue just to hold that in place. Another little bit there. And And you could put a couple of little quilt clips on, although you might find they might just compress and sort of compress the fabric down a bit too much. So I think I'm probably happy with that. But if I want, I can just put some quick stitches around the outside. Just grab some of this regular purple cotton. And I'll just anchor these. I'll just do a little running stitch all the way around just to hold these down in place. But this is all going to be hidden, so it doesn't have to be, I'm not going right through to the front, I'm just keeping my finger sort of on the front so I can feel that the needle's not going through. We're just catching, the felt's great to work into, to stitch into, because you can kind of do these invisible stitches at the back that don't show on the front, because you're just picking up a little bit of fabric and a little bit of felt with each stitch, but not touching the fabric at the front. So I hope you're having a great day. It is Saturday here. I had a busy morning, was out and about. Didn't have breakfast today, so we had a lovely big lunch. Had some leftover zucchini from the garden with a sort of a tomato, like a ratatouille mixture. Made some scrambled parsley eggs. Had some leftover sweet potato and potato mash, so turned those into some little patties. So it was a yummy lunch. I love when you have leftovers and you can make a really, really quick, easy but delicious lunch. And I think we might head out to our and get some yummy takeaway from our favourite fish shop. They do the most lovely whiting fish burgers. Alex usually has just a regular hamburger, although he's been meaning to try the fish burgers. I think someone's just starting their lawnmower outside, so I am going to, oops, without hopefully knocking something off my windowsill, just close the window. But you don't need to hear a lawnmower. You'll still probably be able to hear it, but hopefully not too loud. Okay, so we're around, and I may as well, let me just though catch this bit here. So I could just see that I had a little pointy bit there that I just wanted to bring in a little bit. I'll be able to fix up any other little points when I sew the front and the back together. So that's done. And I can use this thread because I was thinking I'll use this thread for the center areas to do some thread painting. So I'm just going to start doing that thread painting. So using a similar technique to what I used on the seed packet itself, just using regular cotton and just putting in little stitches that will just start to detail the pansies. So I'm starting with this darkest color in the centers first and using this for that. And I don't want to sort of fully cover these pansies. I just want to do some little detailing stitches just so you can tell that it's hand stitched and has those extra little special details. I've got another video with a different pansy fabric that I thread painted as well, so I'll try and remember to share that in the description so you can have a look. I think folks have quite enjoyed that one. And I was using little cork backings that I got from the reverse art truck, but I thought this time I would use felt because that's something that most people have some felt scraps in their craft room. And this isn't a wool felt or a special felt, it's just a crafty felt. I think this actually is my Nana's felt supplies. So lovely connection to her. So I had such a fun time last night. We had a chat, a 1 hour chat while one of my videos of the vintage style covered buttons played, and it was so nice to catch up with my stitchy friendly crew. A lot of the ladies who were part of the Stitch Along, the Dictionary of Stitches, came along, but also some new faces as well, which is just lovely. It's just such a beautiful group of ladies, so just love them. So thank you to those of you, if you're watching, that joined in. It was so nice. And my good mate Annie came along, and even Annie's son, who I think only does stitching, he says he does it just to annoy his mum and show her how easy he finds it. But even he was watching as well, which was lovely. I think they were watching it on the big TV, maybe at his house. I don't often get to watch my YouTube videos on the big TV. Usually Alex is watching his things, so I'm up in my craft room with my little iPad-sized screen. I know many of you have the big TVs in your craft room. Alex does keep saying he's happy to put one in here, but I don't mind. I just have the iPad in front of me on the crafting desk, so, and that way it's easy to kind of control the volume and things, because YouTube can be quite annoying with the ads jumping in. They always seem to make them a lot louder than the actual videos themselves. I think that's why sometimes people say that the videos are too quiet or something, because, I think they just do the sound, so. I might even not paint all the way down on this dark area down here, because I think that they look at some of the stitches over there look a little bit long, but I think they'll look okay once we add in the others. But yeah, just putting in just some little defining thread painting stitches. I just thought it might be fun to challenge myself and see if I can get a brooch made in an hour. We shall see. Okay, that's probably as much thread, as many stitches as I can get with that bit of thread, and then we'll just re-thread up again. Let's tie that off. Snip off the end. And then that's it so far, and then we will keep going. I think we'll do all of our dark thread first, and then we can come in and do the other threads. But you could pick whatever fabric you wanted. You can use this sort of concept. You can make it round. You could fussy cut around. It's just going to then be a bit harder to get your shape underneath to be exactly the right size, although with the circle I was able to just draw around a lid that was about the right size that I wanted. Might start, where will I start? Maybe over here. Should do those ones. This one's got the purple and yellow on it, so I do love pansies, so it's been fun doing this little project. So thanks Susanna and Corinne and Tia, and no, that's the crew that are doing the little Botanical Beauties project. If you've seen pansies popping up in your feeds, that's probably where it's been from. Although I must admit they are nice flowers to stitch anyway. Just doing little line stitches to just follow the broad area where the darker purple is. And it's also going to help because it'll just be holding the fabric to the felt, because the glue is really just a bit of a temporary hold. It's not a strong like PVA glue hold on the fabric. I might leave the lower ones a little bit. I might not do the painting on those lower ones down there, the thread painting. So I might jump up to here and do it here. And I like how when you're using this just regular sewing cotton, that it's not sort of in your face thread painting, it's just really subtle. So let me know in the comments what you're stitching. Let me know if you're going to try one of these little little projects. I've already seen some folks making the covered vintage style butters, so that's so exciting. My lovely friend Martha shared a photo in our little Facebook group. I just love how the ideas sort of, yeah, they filter amongst all of us, and we get to put our own little spin on things. Got so many fun things on the go. I was just before this working on my colour inspirations little fabric book for the project I'm doing with Annie Claxton, the colour inspirations. So I want to share an update on that. We're working on texture at the moment. So it's kind of hard to know what project to do next, but I did have these little supplies sitting on the desk. So I thought, yeah, before I lose them, I better do a video. Still plenty of time left in January, but I don't know if it's going to get a bit busy for me. Alex is going in to have a procedure done this week, so I'll just have to see how he's doing. But all good. Thank you for those of you who've sent lovely wishes. I think he's kind of blown away that there's folks out there, stitchy friends out there on the internet that are thinking good thoughts for him. Such a lovely bunch you are. So moving around to this yellow one, and again just adding in the stitches in the darker area, even though the thread doesn't exactly sort of match. I think in some ways it's better if your thread doesn't match, because then you're getting that multi-dimensional colour effect. You've got the underlying fabric colour, and then you've got the colour of the thread, and it just adds it extra character to it, dimension to it. When you do the really intense thread painting, you can actually fully change a colour that you're working on, but in this I'm just adding accents, I think. So it's probably, I don't know, I think it is still thread painting because you're still using threads and you're putting brush strokes in, I guess. I did hear someone had come up with that term thread painting originally. I can't remember who it was. I think someone that wrote a book maybe, but it doesn't mean that someone else wasn't using it before that anyway. It's funny the sort of history of words and where they originate from. It's quite a humid day in Melbourne again today, whereas some of you have got big amounts of snow, rain, all sorts of weather, wild weather happening around the globe. Hope you're safe and well where you are. So again, I think I'll leave the sort of the more sitting down leaves and not paint those with the thread, because I kind of want these upper petals to be standing out a bit more. So I'll come around and do the thread painting on this one. As you can see, it doesn't take too long to do a bit of thread painting. It's the sort of thing you could take a little project like this if you're going on a public transport, or waiting for a bus, or just something to do like in your lunch break or something. You'd be able to get one of these little stitching bits done, and then you could put it together sort of after that. Sometimes good just to have a little project pouch with something that you can take travelling with you. Makes the time pass faster, I think, when you have that as well. I know when I went to the dentist the other day and was waiting outside the dentist, I've just managed to create a knot of knots. Can we untangle it? That will be the question. Or am I going to have to tie it off on the back? I might just have to snip it, I think, because we've got a bit of a diabolical knot there. That's okay. I'll just work out where I am up to. I think I've got that thread there, and then I'll just stitch over the thread once I've got it to the back with a new bit of thread. Sometimes it's better just to cut your losses. particularly when you're trying to keep to time in a video. But yeah, outside the dentist, it was definitely good to have something to distract me before I went in. Oops. Sometimes the thread is slippery. I always put on hand cream before my videos because I have quite dry hands, but sometimes it makes it a bit slippy. So because I've got this little end here, I'm just going to start by putting a few stitches over it to catch it and hold it securely. And that will be fine. Okay, and then we only have a few more stitches we need to put in here. And again, you don't have to exactly follow the design. If you want to do one stitch longer or shorter, absolutely fine. Just adding your own little brush strokes with thread. Putting your own little print on the image. And you can sort of do 2 strokes in one area. See, that otherwise would have been quite a long one. So I'm just doing 1 initial stroke and then 2 little strokes up from it for this area here. Okay, and then just come around here. My other pansy brooches that I made, I gave them as gifts. I think it was for Mother's Day, because I gave one to Mum and one to Alex's mum. So there we go. That's with our darkest ones, outlining that area. So I can tie that off. And then we can get our lighter colour. Now it's whether I want to use this or go, I think I'll use that one for that. So I think maybe this one, as long as it's going to be enough of a colour contrast. It's a vintage thread, so I'm going to have to work out where it actually starts from. I think it might start from here. There we go, we've got the end now. So I think that will be, yeah, I think that'll be enough of a contrast in colour. Sometimes vintage threads will have become a bit sort of fragile, so we'll see how it goes. I do quite like using the random vintage threads. Okay, so where do I want to start? Start over here in this lighter pink area. Again, I'm not going to shade the whole area, I'm just going to put some extra stitches in. So coming up from the edge. You can save sort of thread if you're popping back up and down close to where the previous stitch was. Or you can just keep doing stitches in the same direction, but you'll waste a bit more thread on the back. So particularly when you're using really valuable thread, you might want to consider that. For this sort of, just regular cotton, it doesn't matter too much. So it's really just your preference. You do you. I love how K3N says that. You do you. She's another great stitching. He makes great stitching videos. Such a calming voice. I loved her little studio tour the other day. That was fabulous. So just adding little stitches. again, no rules, just follow where your intuition takes you. You're using the design as a guide, but it's all about what you want to create. You can use wools for thread stitching, you can use perles, but yeah, I think this cotton approach is really great because you it's hard to mess it up. Like even if you get a stitch a bit out of place or at the wrong angle, it's not going to ruin your design. If you're using wools, I guess it's a bit more apparent because it's a bit thicker, particularly if you use something like a tapestry wool that's quite thick. The Appleton wools, for example, though, are thinner. So I just put a few more in down here. Then I'll pop over here and put some stitches in. Again, I haven't outlined this whole area in the darker purple, but I don't mind putting just a few little accenting lighter purple stitches in. And I might even do a few more where it's not even sort of shown in the design, but sort of following a similar line from further over. Just improvising a bit with those stitches there. But always just thinking about the direction that you want the stitch to go, the direction that the sort of the pattern would go on the flower itself. And I'm just going to pick up this little lighter area over here. Just bring it up a another little stitch over here, and then I'll jump over to this area and put in some stitches. You can sort of pass your needle across the back, doing smaller stitches sort of through the felt at the back, but as long as I don't pull too tight, it's not going to that one won't be a problem. It will just be hidden when I sandwich the two pieces together. Okay, and then I'll come over here and I might do some stitches down from where I did do the darker in the bigger bottom leaves. Just sort of put these lighter colours amongst the darker ones. I quite like that sort of interspersing, so I start the stitch up where the darker is and then have it come down further. So it's that sort of long and short stitch effect with two tones. Now you can also use variegated. If I had a purple sort of variegated, I could have used that to effect as well. But you kind of get that variegated effect with this method. Oops, just unthreaded my needle. I just need to snip my end to make it a bit easier to rethread. Some days the struggle is real. But the felt gives you a really lovely surface to stitch in. I highly recommend it as a nice little base for thread painting. It just holds your fabric sort of firm and means that you're not kind of cinching it in too much, or it's not buckling as you work. So I might just tie this bit off and then I'll get another bit of thread. Otherwise I'll unthread again. Okay. Go. Where were we up to? Around here. Got so many project ideas whirring around my head, but I really feel like I probably need to get my little current projects finished off first before I start too many more. But these little ones, these little 1 hour projects are great. I like to sort of have a mix of bigger projects and smaller projects. Keeps you inspired. And these little ones are great just to try a technique like thread painting. You're not making a big commitment to it. It can even just be a little practice piece. It can be something you keep for yourself. You can even just pin it to a piece of ribbon in your craft room and enjoy looking at it. Hang it on your sort of window hanger or whatever. Lots of possibilities. Okay, let's. Okay, so I've done around there, done around there. Might just do a few up here, I think. You can probably hear the lawnmower again. I actually wonder, maybe it's even Alex doing the lawn mowing. I'm not sure what he was getting up to this afternoon. I headed up to my craft room and perhaps he has decided to do some lawn mowing. Been with Travis to the dog park twice today. Took him out earlier this morning and then again after lunch. Just put a few more little interspersing stitches in again, just down here where I've got some of the longer purple ones, just to kind of just create a bit of interest there. Then I might put some over here. Sometimes with the thread painting it is hard to stop. You just think, oh, I'll just add another bit. But I do want to get my other colours in as well, so this will be just put a few down here. And I've already got some round here, but I might just add 1 or 2 extra to it. Oops, what did I do there? I think I just caught, did I catch my thread underneath again? Things I do. Oh well, we might just need to just stitch that over, I think. Not sure if I did it earlier on or just in that one, but I think I'll be able to just fix the problem. It's the design. Yeah, I'll just take that to the back there. And I'll just hook this little loop over the back and just pop it over here so it's out of the way. And it actually just looks like part of the thread painting on the front, so that's fine. Got rid of that little over loop. There's always a solution when you're thread painting. So that's so far. Let's keep going and get our lighter purpley blue and our yellow in place. So I've got this variegated yellow, but I think I want to use the more intense yellow. So I just want to add those little pops of yellow. It's a great combo, the yellow and the purples together. Nature knows great colour combos. Okay, so we'll start by popping some in here. And again, not covering all the area, just putting in enough to add that lovely little detailing. Oops. And here's where I'll intersperse it with the blue. So I'll just do my stitches a little bit further apart here. And I also want to put a few little stitches in the middle for the little centres that are yellow. Just do some short little stitches there in a little sort of V, filled in V shape. Doesn't have to be too much. Probably 3 little stitches are perfect, I think. And then I'll go up here and do my little yellow stitches in the middle. So one either side. And then just a few little short stitches coming down into a sort of a central V. Oops. That's pretty good. I think maybe 2 more stitches there. It's funny, this sort of thread painting makes you think about how flowers are actually, what their sort of flower anatomy is. Well, Leanne, if you're watching, you'll have to tell me if you've used your flower anatomy book that you bought. I remember on one of your regional travels you picked it up to help you with your thread painting and other flower stitching. Here I'm just bringing them down, sort of angling them down the way the petals would go. It's funny, the more little colours you add, the more the design just starts to really, really pop. But yeah, if you're starting out, start with something small like this, and then you can just sort of hone your technique, practice things. There's no right or wrong. But you could pick some different flower fabrics and kind of apply the approach. Working on an existing design is actually a great way to start, rather than trying to sort of draw something and fully fill it in, because this tells you where the different sort of light and dark, etc. is. sort of a paint by numbers for thread painting. Okay, that's probably enough for the yellow, I think, and then I'll just come down actually and do the center here. And then we'll move on to our light purple, and then we can get to doing the back and then putting it together. Hope you're either working on your own little stitch project while you're watching this, or maybe you're stitching along with me, which would be lovely. Okay. Right. Oh, and I need to do this little yellow centre down here too. Almost running out of yellow threads, so I'll just do a simpler centre here. Maybe just do another little stitch across. Isn't it hard when you're almost running out, but you just want to get one more stitch in? Okay. I think that will probably hold at the back, and I just put a stitch over it with my purple. Now, do I want to use this purple? I think I'll use the lighter. There's actually two purples in there. I can start with the lighter and then see if I need to add the other purple in, or if it's enough. Okay. So again, same technique, just going to the areas which have the colour that you've selected and just doing little short and long stitches to sketch into the area. You can really get lost in this. It's so relaxing. That's why I sometimes think I forget to talk. I think we're going to be going to the beach tomorrow, having a nice day out at Inverloch. Take a picnic down. We figured we should make the most of the day before Alex goes in for his procedure. So he'll need to rest up for a few weeks, I think. I think they get them out of hospital pretty quickly, so he'll be back home here. Travis and I will be on nursing duty. It's lovely because it really sort of, yeah, quilts the fabric in with your stitching. So I'm going to jump over to where there's just two little bits of blue over here, bluey purple. Let's put those stitches in. And then I'll put a few little stitches in on the edge over here where there's the purple, lighter purple blue. And over here as well. Just nice melding between the yellows and the darker purples with these stitches. All starts to come together really beautifully. And you can go, as I say, as detailed, like there's even a lighter purple, so you could use almost even a white for those very outer tips, but I won't be doing that. I just want to, just create the beautiful stitched effect without going overboard. And one more stitch down here, I think. And then maybe just one down here. And then I think that's pretty good actually. And I'm just going to catch this edge that's just sitting a little bit up. Let's get that to sit in a bit better. We'll fix up all the edges anyway when we put it together. Okay, so now we can move on to the back. I'll just use the Yoo-hoo glue, I think. And I can just use it on this piece here. So I've cut this piece of felt just a smidge smaller than this, but we'll see how we go. It might still, because this bit will have cinched in a little bit in the process. So I'm going to do the same process of just folding the raw edges in. So I'm not cutting all the way to the center, just near to the center. Just put a bit more on the felt as well, just to make it a bit easier when I'm folding in. The good thing is the Yoo-hoo doesn't make it really stiff. Not that it would really matter for the brooch anyway, but I just didn't really want that stiff effect. I think it's probably easier at this stage not to hold it in the air like I was earlier, because I think if I press it down as I go, it will make my job easier. Work smarter, not harder, hey? Now that it's important at this point, if you're putting your little pin on the back, you need to stitch that on before you put your two pieces together. But let me just check that I'm happy with the sort of, so this is just a smidge smaller, so it's not going to show out from the back, which is good. I'll just make sure my little clasp is opening. Yes, it is. And so we'll just get a few little stitches in there to hold that in place. I'll just use a nice light one that we won't see too much. And again, you could use cardboard if you wanted it to be stiffer. I don't want a stiff brooch. I just want it to be sort of, yeah, soft. Now let's try not to stab myself. Oops, I've got a knot at the back. So I'm just going from one hole across to the other, and then just back to the center, and then just a few more stitches. Just, you want to make sure it's well anchored at this stage. Trying to find where the hole is at the back to come through. Oops. Sorry, just banged the camera stand. You will wobble a smidge. So I just like to make sure this is well secured, to be sure. Okay, and then we can put some extra bolstering stitches in on this side as well. Another final knot, and that should be right, I reckon. And don't worry about these little bits that are popping up, they'll soon be enclosed. Now let's do our brooch up so we can see which way up we need it, because at this point we need to think which way do we want our design to be going. I think I want it that way, so pretty much like that. Yeah, I think that's nicely balanced like that. So I will just, again, to help me, just put a little bit of glue in the center. And then put it over, check I'm happy with how it's sitting, yep. And now we just need to work around and put some stitches in place. And I'm wondering, should I use, I think I might use the black, unless I use the purple. Maybe I'll use the purple actually, because I think I'm going to stitch more on the back than on the front, so that will actually help me, I think. So just use this nice light purple that's not gonna show too much. Okay. So I'm going to hide my thread in behind the back, so I put the little tail, tuck it under with my needle, and then I'm going to start the process. I'm just going to be picking up fabric at the back, not coming onto the front. So really where that black line is, I want to just be using that as my guide. So where the black line that was on the outline of that little pansy circle, that's going to be the bit that I stitch and catch onto the back. And I'll just work my way around like this. That's taken a bit too much though. And if you didn't have a black circle, if you drew with a friction marker, you just need to know then it's not going to be sort of anywhere on your front, but it would just help you to know then where to stitch when you're doing it to get that nice sort of circular effect. Just show you how it's looking. So it's just, yeah, bring it in really beautifully. And I like how it's even giving a little bit of a ruffle to the petals. It's just getting the piece to be really cohesive, I guess. So it's no longer two bits of fabric, a front and a back, it's all one. So I'm just catching little bits of the fabric where the black outline is and just, yeah, capturing a bit more on the back. So yeah, I think it was definitely a good choice to use the light purple rather than the black, because the black, if I used a black thread on this purple background, it would look quite, stand out too much. And you could always couch a lovely piece of wool around the outside, or a lovely sort of fibre if you wanted a different edge on it. So there's lots of possibilities. This is just one easy finishing, just using regular things that you probably have around your craft room or in your sewing box. It's a lovely way to celebrate your beautiful little floral fabrics as well. Ouch. That's not a lovely way to celebrate your finger when you stab it with the needle. Almost around. And then we can take a look at it. And I think I'm going to be within my 1 hour little challenge time frame, so we'll take that as a win. But don't stress, like slow stitching or these sorts of projects shouldn't be a stressful activity, so take your time with it. You don't have to do it to a time limit. I just wanted to show you that this is an easy, fun little project that you can do yourself. And then again, I will secrete my tail into my design by putting my needle into the fabric, keeping the tail there, but then just cutting it off near the very end, and then pulling my needle through, and it will hide the tail in the fabric after I'd done my little knots. So there we go. That is a very sweet little brooch. I just love how it gets that, yeah, lovely texture around. It's still beautiful and soft, so different to the ones I did on cork, but it's got plenty of structure. It's not going to flop around or anything, but it just, yeah, it feels lovely, and it's got that beautiful thread painting. And the next step will be to make the little envelope that this can just sort of sit in and be ready as a gift for someone during the year. I'll have to see what month pansy is a birth flower for, if it is indeed a birth flower for a particular month. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Take care, everyone, and I will see you soon for some more fun activities. Bye.